Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to yet another segment of Get That House. My name is Brian Holland, sales manager of Old Republic Title Company here in Las Vegas. With me, as always, Barbara Irwin.
Hi, I'm Barbara Irwin, LVNV Homes and Land. I can help you with buying and selling any properties you may have.
And with us today, a very special guest, Kyle Wallace, Esquire. Kyle wears many hats for Old Republic Title Company. Assistant State Manager, Branch Manager, Escrow Officer, Short Sale Department, and the only escrow attorney in Las Vegas. Kyle, happy to have you here today, sir.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Brian.
You're very welcome. I think we're going to kick this segment off with something that is a very new cutting-edge technology. You know what? I'm just going to turn it over to Kyle. He is the expert in this field. So, Kyle, what's new in the technology of title and escrow, especially when it comes to notarization of documents?
Okay. So let me take a step back just for a second, Brian, and tell you that the reason I'm even familiar with this is because I'm the legislative chairperson for the Nevada Land Title Association. So I get to kind of see the bills that come and go and anything that affects real estate. And in this last legislative session, the hot topic was electronic notary. Now, so you guys know, for the past 8 years, Nevada has allowed, at the recorder's office, the acceptance of electronically notarized documents. So you could sit down with someone, they could DocuSign something, or they could use an electronic signature, and you could affix an electronic notary stamp. That could be sent down the recorder, they would not reject it. Now, the issue we have is that there was no one that was an electronic notary. So there was a lot of pressure in this last legislative session to move that forward. A couple of really big players in the industry threw some money at it and decided that we should have electronic notaries be approved in the state, not just accepting it, but we need some actual people to do it. Now, notary in general, for electronic notary, required that you sit with the person and that they go through this electronic signature and you affix your notary stamp to it. In the new legislation, they got around that by saying if the notary is sitting in the state and they have a video audio conference with someone, that is considered to be sitting with them in the state.
Are there any boundary limitations? I mean, what if they were in another state, another country? Is there any jurisdiction as far as the boundaries of where the person is sitting?
If you have audio-visual communication with them, live audio-visual communication, that is considered to be in the state.
So their laws don't supersede, say I'm from Seattle, so say somebody's in Seattle and they're buying a house here, Seattle's laws wouldn't supersede Nevada's?
Nope. You're buying the property, and generally laws or any lawsuit's going to revolve around where the property is located. So you have a property in Nevada, you're notarizing it, you're going to be considered to be in Nevada for that signing.
Nice.
Now, where this becomes really interesting is a couple of things. Number one, there's a big fear of fraud. How do you prevent fraud?
Right.
If I just have a video call with someone, how can I be sure that it's actually that person? And part of the response to that from the legislative branch was, how do we prevent fraud now? If someone shows up in Nevada and they have a Pennsylvania driver's license and I'm notarizing it, how do I know what to look for? I don't.
You don't have the little book that says, this is what the license looks like.
I've got a book, but it's all Nevada notary stuff, right? So I can go back and I can search and I can go, okay, what's this Pennsylvania stuff supposed to look like? And I just don't know. Some driver's licenses are a little bit more flimsy than ours.
Right.
They seem fake, and people can get a fake ID. There's been a real rash of people coming in from California with fake IDs.
Okay.
And so they had that concern, and they decided in the legislation that when you were going face to face with someone, you would actually take a screenshot of their ID. So they'll hold it up to the camera, you'll take a screenshot of it. And you have to hold on to that screenshot now for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that's supposed to be the equivalent of looking at their driver's license. But the second part is they have now a two-factor authorization. So you have to send them a code, or you have to, when you think of two-factor authorization, you'll think of when you've ever gone in to do something banking and they ask you, which of these properties have you lived at in the last 2 years? or who have you had a car loan with in the past. And that information comes from your credit report, and it's just a little bit more secure in verifying that that's the actual person. So the nice thing is that we're actually getting a little bit more security with the electronic notarization. I think the other really advantageous piece, and we spoke about this the last time, is when you're sitting down at a signing, you don't have to have a notary there anymore. I can sign someone in China
Yeah. Wow.
face to face.
Wow.
They can ask me
Nice.
questions, I can answer. You know, and that's pretty awesome
That is
when
cool.
you think about it.
Very cool.
It saves them, especially for those out of the country, it saves them from trying to find an embassy and who knows how far away that is. Then they have to make an appointment. And there's a lot of factors that this is truly going to cut down or eliminate all of that.
Yes.
Wow.
So, well, and you bring a good point, Brian, and that is, you know, if you're in, let's say, Hong Kong, and you need to get a document notarized, if you can't make it to, you know, like a military base, because you can't get on that military base, you're not military personnel, you have to go to the consulate. And to get into the consulate, you have to schedule an appointment, and that sometimes can be 6 weeks out.
Wow.
You know, sometimes more. And so you have a real estate transaction. You'll notice, Barbara, they fill out the paperwork and it says closing to be in 30 or 45 days. You'd have to send the documents out that day to be notarized for you to have that close on time. Not only do they have to notarize it, but then they have to ship it back to you somehow, and it has to get through customs. And 6 weeks can become a real stretch on something like that.
Right. I have a client right now who was married in Russia, and she has to file a divorce and have it close or finalize prior to closing.
Yep.
Same kind of thing. I mean, it
Yep.
takes a lot longer than the 4 weeks.
Much longer than you expect. And that's what's kind of interesting. Now, I'm telling you all this stuff about the electronic notary well in advance. Where they just, you know, they passed the bill the last legislative session. It's supposed to go into effect in July. But we don't have any regulations yet from the Secretary of State. So we're kind of all waiting on pins and needles to see what's going to happen.
So is it just going to be like any notary? Like, say Brian's a notary. So will Brian be able to do the electronic, or is it there new stipulations and new requirements?
There is an additional class that you're going to have to take, and they've made that clear. You're going to have to go through some additional licensing piece to become an electronic notary. But one of the things that the state has said is that they want to keep this whole thing technology neutral. You know, what that means is they're not going to require you to use any sort of secure software when you're communicating with people. They're going to let you choose from any number of softwares.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so
So that could be good or bad.
we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, I think that when it comes down to it, you'll have a number of title companies and other people saying this is a software that we use and approve because we feel it's secure.
Okay.
You know?
Very good. So, what else can you tell us briefly about title or escrow? Is there anything you want to add to that or spin off on that? There's so much to know. I mean, there's not. You can't learn about title and escrow in 20 minutes.
No, you certainly can't. You know, I would say from a seller's perspective or a buyer's perspective, it's going to make sense to communicate as much as you can with your agent. You know, they're the ones usually communicating with escrow. But if you have questions too, call your escrow officer.
Absolutely.
You know, they're the expert. They're going to have the knowledge. They're going to be able to communicate to you the information that you need. And if you have questions, they should be able to answer those.
I know I started just this year directing people back to escrow because the laws have changed so much that it's a huge liability for agents. So
And as well, you should.
that's
You
good
shouldn't be
enough.
practicing
No.
being an attorney or giving that, legal advice or escrow advice.
Exactly.
Turn them over to the experts.
Yep.
So it looks like we're running out of time, and we wanted to thank you for coming out today and joining us, and hope to see you again. My name is Barbara Irwin, LVNV Homes and Land, 702-235-9298.
Brian Holland, Older Public Title, 702-985-2222.
Kyle Wallace, Older Public Title, 702-313-2088.
So you can always tell your agent you want to request a certain title. So in that case, make sure that you choose Older Public Title and mention Kyle. Thank you for joining us,
Thank
and
you.
hope to see you again.
Bye-bye.